I respect your time, so let's get right into it. The Pet Adventure Diary event has been going on for a few days already. The prices in my server have come down a lot. Now, in my previous video, you saw that everything was in urgent demand. Now, everything is readily available because the whales from my server have stopped buying. So based on the current situation in my server, here are the two scenarios that I think might happen. Scenario number one, prices will continue to maintain or drop because whales have stopped buying and there is overwhelming supply. Number two, prices will have a short spike near the end of the event because of a lot of last minute buying, maybe due to players trying to buy up what they lack to claim another reward. Now, regardless what happens, the worst case scenario for me in both situations would be me trying to sell everything, but maybe only grapes and dew are selling. I'm then left with a bunch of carrots and apples that are unsellable, and I'm stuck with not having enough to exchange for any rewards at all. Now, if your server has many whales and the event items are still permanently in urgent demand, I think you would probably feel more confident to just sell everything. Hence, I decided to take the middle approach where I avoid my worst case scenario, but maybe not get as much value as I probably can. Hence, I've added a new Pet Adventure Diary tab in the spreadsheet to help myself to compare between the different rewards as well as the perceived value of items. To make use of this sheet, there's only two things you need to do. Number one, update the prices in the smelting tab, specifically the ones in the rewards if you don't want to update everything. Or if you are already a long-time viewer and you already have the smelting tab prices filled, you can actually skip this step. Now, step number two is to update the prices in the yellow columns in the Pet Diary tab, namely the shadow equipment stuff and of course the prices of the apples, carrots, dews and grapes in your server. Once you key in these values, you will see either green or red cell colors. Now, please check that you are looking at the correct tax bracket. To know which tax bracket you are in, go to your exchange, go to the second tab. You'll notice there is this value here, weekly total sales. For my case is 513k. So the low tax quota is 500k, which means I'm now no longer in the low tax quota. I'm actually in the 20% tax bracket. So if I'm in the 20% tax bracket, I should be looking at the 20% tax bracket column. Based on your current tax bracket, green means it's worth claiming the rewards as opposed to selling the materials directly into the exchange at 20% tax. Red means the value of the materials needed is higher than that particular item from the reward pack, so you might want to consider going for another reward or selling the mats separately on the exchange. Now, disclaimer, I'm not asking you to sell at all. I'm not asking you to sell anything, I'm not asking you to sell everything, because common sense dictates that you may not be able to sell everything. At least in my server, I definitely cannot sell carrots. Look at the number of carrots I have in my exchange. So please do not take this at face value and think that, oh, the spreadsheet is asking me to sell. No, it's asking you to choose another reward that might be more valuable to you. So please look at the note here. Not everything will be sold. If you choose to sell everything, that's up to you. I do not know the situation in your server. The spreadsheet is only meant to compare perceived value, and you have to apply your own thinking process based on your server situation before making a conscious decision on your own. Okay, so don't come to me and say, oh, this dry spreadsheet says it's more worthwhile to sell everything. No. Alright, I already mentioned the worst case scenario is only one particular type of thing gets sold and you end up with a bunch of fruits that are unsellable and you cannot change for anything. So this is really to just compare between the rewards. Alright, so for example, if you only have enough materials to change for upgrading selection pack 2 and you are currently operating at a 20% tax or 25% tax bracket, it's better to just change for rewards than selling the items to the exchange since everything here is green. Now, this is purely from a value perspective. There is a big disclaimer I need to say first. Not everything will sell. The reason why I have an updated video about this is because the whales from my server have stopped spending already. In my first video, everything was in urgent demand and I said I will wait for the last day to see how it goes. Since now there's a big supply and no demand from whales in my server, I cannot just blindly hope that I can sell everything and get full value from all my materials. So here is what I plan to do. So firstly, I will have to predict where I will be on the last day of the event. Based on 4 days of solo farming at small mobs, on average I get around 40 plus apples and carrots a day, 18 dews and 8 grapes a day. Now this means at the end of the event, I will have roughly 350-ish apples, 360-ish carrots, 180 dews, 70 plus grapes. This is just a rough gauge, right? This is a projection. Now that is not inclusive of the potential fruits I can get from playing the board game, but it is a good enough gauge. So with that amount of materials that I have, what rewards would I go for? I have a few combos in mind. It's kind of like ordering McDonald's like that, where you are trying to mix and match things that you want to eat versus things that are of the best value. Right? So combo number one, I want to go for the shadow equipment pack as well as many upgrading packs as possible. Now, reason? Very simple. The rewards from the Shadow Equipment pack is harder to obtain compared to the other items. Now, most of them can only be gotten in small amounts from the KVM boxes or the Otherworld Gate event. So I'm less in control of it in some sense. Now, compared to every other reward like the upgrading, enchantment pack, refinement pack, all those things are under my control as long as I have stamina. Furthermore, I'm unlocking Shadow Equipment soon, and there is some sort of personal progression involved. Not to mention, if you look at this column here, Bound 2 actually has a positive value. So if you're already someone looking for Bound 2, based on my server's prices, this positive value means it's worthwhile to actually buy materials and change it for Bound 2, if that is your objective in the first place. Now, don't do this because it's of good value. Do this because you really want to eat, if you really want to order, if you really want to use it in the first place. Stupid McDonald's analogy. Okay, combo 2. Exchange for as many upgrading packs as possible. Now, this is purely for my own personal progression. If your progression is already beyond Fracon 2, Kanyam 2, Basics 2, this is obviously useless for you. So please do not follow blindly. Now, reason for choosing this is number 1, personal progression, like I mentioned. Number 2, based on the prices in my server, based on my current tax bracket of 20%, 5 out of 6 cells are green. Meaning 5 out of 6 items from this reward pack gives better value than selling the apples, carrots, dews, and grapes separately at 20% tax. Now, looking at this column, it also tells me that even though the price difference is negative, but compared to other columns, the value of these reward items are relatively close to the value of the materials needed to exchange for them. In other words, if I have a few useless fruits lying around after exchanging for everything I need, I might even consider buying just the right amount of fruits to exchange for the one more upgrading selection pack, because the values are similar, or I can attempt to sell the remaining depending on how many fruits I have left over and how much I need. So once again, you can see that the thinking process comes first. The spreadsheet is nothing without the thinking process. At the end of the day, it's just a tool to compare value. So that's it for me. It's a short update today. So if you appreciate the effort and you find this useful, leave a like on the video. Now, I plan to use this type of template as a baseline for future events. So let me know if I can improve this in any way possible. Subscribe and turn on notifications if you like videos that bring value to your gameplay and keep you ahead of the free-to-play curve. As always, outplay, not outpay. It's Friday. Yay! Bye!